What up? It's Abstract Square Podcast.
It's B.
What up?
Call me handsome.
Yo, this guy, man.
Yo, get out of here.
You always gotta start with you doing some fuck shit.
Because I'm a fuck shit type of nigga.
Oh, man. But today's a special day, y'all.
It's
we
special.
have some special guests in the building.
Talk about it.
My gosh. One of my longtime friends, met her in business school. This is an amazing woman, incredibly talented, Princeton grad, Rutgers MBA grad, worked for Fortune 100 companies, done merchandising, actually went to med school and said, you know what, fuck that. I don't even want to do that anymore. You know what, I got better dreams. I got things to do. One of my good friends, Dasheeda Dawson, who is out here
What up?
making strides in the cannabis industry. We have her as a guest today. Introduce
What up,
yourself.
Dasheeda?
Dasheeda was shaking.
We
How
also
are you
have
guys?
a wonderful lady, Isis, on the mic, who is going to bless us with colorful commentary. This is
Yeah.
also her sister.
But I go by Ice, just
Okay.
so we know.
Just so we know.
He,
Okay.
he, that's how you know he's a longtime friend. He's using my government name.
Got you, know.
Yeah, because when I was like, who's coming on the show? He was like, Dasheeda and Ice. I'm like,
Who's Ice?
who is Ice?
Ice is the cannabis socialite.
Yeah.
Yo,
I'm the cannabis CEO. She's
It's-
the cannabis socialite.
It's so funny because I was so confused. I was like, yo, when you think of Ice, you know, you think of other things.
You about meth?
And
No.
No, like
And-
bling.
No,
yeah.
I was.
You talking about meth? You talking about-
I was
So
talking
what's
about
the-
meth.
they
I
do,
was
huh?
like, yo, we about to talk about cannabis, and we got Ice over here.
Ooh.
What's the name of that? What's the name of that show you used to come on?
Oh,
Sons of Anarchy.
Nah, I forgot. Whatever. I don't,
Shameless?
nah, where the white dude was a drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that
Whatever.
show.
White
She was
dudes are
trash.
always
She got
good.
trashed at like season 3.
But
Yeah.
I think we
What
wanted
up,
to
Ice?
we wanted to kind of set the tone and talk about a special topic today. We really wanted to get into the marijuana industry because I mean it's exploding right now on all fronts. And actually funny because we just got a notice today that Jersey City is going to legalize or decriminalize marijuana.
Totally different,
So
but yeah.
it's something that's happening, and we're going to start to see the tidal wave happen as states and federal start to pay attention and see what's going on. But we wanted to bring in, Dasheeda, who's an expert in this world, and just talk to her about the topics. There's a lot of things going on right now. And we wanted to also give her a platform as a black woman who is making strides out here.
Right.
And we're very excited about where she's going and what she's doing. So we wanted to invite her out here to just talk about it and share her expertise because the people and the listeners need to understand what's going on. We need to put you on because things are going to happen and they're going to happen fast. So we want to put you up on it before it's too late.
So Dasheeda,
Yes.
let's just start with you telling us your story. How
Yeah,
you got to
let's
where
talk
you are
about
today.
that.
Oh, goodness. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much. It is just a pleasure to be here. We are coming off of what feels like a quick 48 hours after coming out of the NAACP National Convention. My story is a lot of what Brian said. I was really traditional. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to Brooklyn.
Shout out to
Brooklyn.
BK.
Well, that's why you was like hating when I said I'm from Queens.
I just like, all right, you
saw
it
the
was
side
dry.
eye,
It was
right?
dry as
I'm
F,
like-
right? I know. It was dry as F. I'll take that. I'll own that because I was like, because you were real flavorful, and I think Brooklyn right away. But then you said Queens, and I was like,
Nah,
okay.
Nah. I grew up washing up, so like I'm not really from Brooklyn.
don't even get me started on the Queens, okay?
Nah. You so well from.
Whatever. It's like the fake suburbs of the Queens.
Yo, Ice looked at you wild crazy.
Yo,
Like,
I
she
felt
got
Brooklyn. Like, I don't want no smoke,
Yeah,
no
like
pun intended. Like, chill.
Ice got the blicky, right?
Listen, of all of us, there's 4 of us in total. Ice is the one you don't want to mess with. Mess with her
messing with
sisters.
Ice
it is a
Smurda over
bad-
here.
Ice murder.
Chill.
You already know.
Oh, you
You
got
want to
the,
switch seats, B?
I don't know. She got the razor under the tongue. She might.
Nah, it's in my hair.
Yeah, okay.
Nah.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so we're from Brooklyn, but actually, I'm Brooklyn born, Jersey educated. So got my degree from Princeton, went to Rutgers with Brian, and really, follow what we consider the traditional background in terms of rise up the corporate ladder. I am humbly the best that my tribe has to offer, literally from the hood to make good, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up like y'all did in the war on drugs, and so stayed away from it. And as I was going through my corporate career at Target, I moved from Brooklyn, New York area for the first time into the Midwest. And actually, I enjoyed it because I'm like a ninja out there. Like everything's so snowy. Really, I am like a ninja in the streets. But the negative 25-degree weather made me feel like that was my kryptonite, right?
That sounds like Minnesota.
Minnesota is where I lived.
I hit the nail on the head. That's crazy.
I was in Minnesota, yes, for 4 years, and I loved it there. But at the same time, my mother was also suffering from cancer, and in with the Mayo Clinic, and she was always a user of cannabis. But during that time, I especially saw how it really helped her just maintain, right? Just maintain dignity, her appetite, her sense of humor when things were really bad for her as far as health was concerned. At the same time, I mean, I was dry because you got to take a test to get in, right? So I smoked maybe if we're going to Jamaica, you know, it wasn't really a consumer at all. You know that because it wasn't like I was kicking it with y'all to do that in business school. I didn't do that at all, really. But as she was like, hey, you know, you only got one life to live. Come smoke with your mama. I was like, all right. So we shared a joint. And the next day, what normally would be me waking up like the Tin Woman, literally like, ooh, I can't move. I felt good. And I was like, okay, you know, is it my mind? Was it the weed? And the science background in me took over, and I started to really experiment mostly on myself as to, I had to get cannabis anyway for her. And so if I was going to be dipping and running and trying to get it, I knew that I was going to at least try and try to make myself feel better. I was in a lot of pain all the time. I'm an athlete. I play ball.
What kind of ball?
I played basketball. I was
Where'd
point
you go
guard.
to high school?
I went to a prep
Bertram?
school. First, I went to but I did play. I went to Stuyvesant first.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I played against
Gotcha.
the Bertram girls, but I went back to prep school. So I'm a prep school girl, Birchwathan.
Prep for prep or like prep school?
I was in prep for prep, and then I went to
a similar background in
Birchwathan.
school.
Yeah.
Well, after like high school now, but you know.
Yeah, she's official.
Yeah, I am
Yeah, that's
official,
legit.
but I
Ball,
did.
some of
Yeah.
the best in New York as far as ballers. Like shout out to Nisha Butler.
Oh, that's my girl.
Shout out to Georgia Tech.
We
Like,
were definitely.
That's crazy.
We were not rivals because she was 2 years younger than me, but we had a game where she scored 63, I scored 54. She won.
Oh, you
We
legit
was-
like that?
Yeah, we was
Yeah,
going
she's
out
out
here
here
talking.
Yes.
Lady.
I went to
So-
August Martin High School, so you know those girls are like the top.
They were the beasts at the
Yeah,
time. They
so-
won 3 PSAL championships in a row.
10.
Oh, 10 in a row?
Yo, son up, yo.
I'm like 10 maybe total.
Yeah.
They were beasts though. Nah.
Oh, man.
It was good times. Actually, the year I came out, Lamar Odom was the player of the year. That just tell you how old I am. I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of pains as a result because you're going hard on your body. You think you're an elite athlete. And so I have arthritis all over. I've had it since I was 19. And by the time you get to a place in your quote unquote younger middle age, it starts to really affect you. But that negative 25-degree weather was like crazy. And so once I saw that it was working on me, I became what I consider to be a closeted everyday user and a microdoser. That means I'm not going to smoke a fat blunt. You'll never see me do that. I'm a one-hit wonder. And it really is consuming a small amount throughout the day, all day long, to ensure that I'm able to maintain everything that y'all see here, which is, my top faculties, right? But at the same time, feel very comfortable, relaxed, and no pain relief. No, a lot of pain relief. But fast forward, I wasn't trying to leave my corporate position to get into cannabis, right? So I got poached by Victoria's Secret. So I moved back to New York. My mom went into remission. She was good. She went down to Georgia, and real talk, sometimes things happen that are like catastrophic and it makes you rethink your whole life, and something catastrophic happened to us. Our mom passed away unexpected.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to
It's
hear
just
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only been just over 2 years, and I appreciate you guys saying that. We still struggle with it, but I always say that even though I lost my mom, I feel like I found myself right smack in the middle of my ikigai, my life's purpose. This industry, came to me because I moved to Arizona after she died. I showed up to my job after 3 weeks and I thought I was going to stay. And day one, I was like, sorry, this bullshit is like too much. I got to get off the plantation. Y'all crazy. Because if I'm up next, meaning like I don't know my daddy and my mother is my only parent, my grandmother helped her, they're both gone. I'm up to bat
That's
next.
powerful. If I'm up next, it's powerful.
Then
like
I got to
that.
have a better return on my investment.
Definitely.
That's exactly what I felt.
That's
And
dope.
we've been talking about that forever. Brian and I
Forever.
have been doing side hustle stuff forever. He worked with us, A Tribe Called Curls. My sister started a blog. And so we've been in family businesses
I heard
forever.
that. Pieces
Yes.
and dots together.
Shout out to the tribe.
Yeah.
But it was the first time that I felt like I don't think I belong here. I'm losing my best years, and I'm giving them my best brain work. And so went to Arizona. It's legal there. They have a strong medical marijuana program, and I became a patient and didn't take a lot. And within a week or two of becoming a patient, I was in the business because I went to my first dispensary, and it was so unbranded, so poor in terms of consumer marketing. And that's my expertise. And so immediately I was like, yo, we got to do better, because if I'm going to be a patient, first of all, this isn't my vibe. Everything was very hippie or hip hop. And even though I love How High and Method Man, Redman, that is still funny as shit. I'm almost 40. Right. And so we're a different breed now, a different sophistication. And the plant is actually very sophisticated. It's just not conveyed that way. It's not communicated. Right. So I saw that gap, and I was like, yo, I could feel it. And immediately, it's been now 2 years. I formed, initially it was called Mary Jane Marketing. It was just me. And then Ice and David are actually my first 2 employees. And now we're up to 15. I changed the name to MJM Strategy because I really was getting pigeonholed on this whole marketing thing. Everybody and their mama think they could do marketing.
For real. You sound like a party promoter if you was just walking in.
Exactly, right?
I don't want that for you.
No.
Branding,
I was like, boo, no.
Marketing.
Yeah, but I mean, Mary Jane was still something clever. So I was like, oh, that's cute. But nah, I had to change it for a lot of different reasons. But now we're MJM Strategy. I proudly say we're the McKinsey of marijuana. Like, we're problem solvers at the end of the day, you know.
Can I give you a high five, though? Because, like, I'm a fan. Like,
hey!
Yes.
That is dope. Yeah, that is very, very dope.
I want to talk about.
I'm still scared of ice. So can I tell you that? I'm still scared of ice.
Yeah, I want to know. So, like, this is something that always kind of like, runs back to my mind. I remember the first time that I, experienced marijuana. I smoked weed. 17 years old. I was just graduating out of high school.
You was a criminal at 17.
Yeah, I was.
At that point.
I mean, technically, the government
thinks that I am.
Yeah, I'm just,
But I had played sports all my life from when I was 5 years old. So marijuana was always a thing that would, prohibit my athletic, career or whatever you call it. Tried it once, and I remember to this day it was the first X-Men's movie, and I still remember that movie line by line. Because I had the greatest time of my life. And for me, I had a wonderful experience, and I fell in love with it. Even though I knew that going through college and being a student athlete, I couldn't, continue that. But it was something that stuck with me as something that was joyful and an experience, that it was the contrast to what I was taught about marijuana, throughout. You say that it's a gateway drug, and you tell me that, it's bad for you and it's going to help, it's going to hurt you. But that was my opposite of my experience. So maybe I asked Ice, what was your first experience?
Ooh, me? Well, I started smoking real early.
How old were you?
Probably before I did.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm probably the longest smoker in my family,
even though she's a baby.
my mom, and
Shout
I'm
out
the
to Brooklyn.
youngest. Yeah, boss 93, so
No, that's
90s
Atlanta.
baby, millennial.
Oh.
So I started smoking at 15, summer, hanging out with friends. And I'm glad your first experience was amazing, because I was probably smoking like the worst mids ever. It was like oregano. But I really still enjoyed it. And growing up, my mom was always smoking friendly. So once she saw I was smoking at like 16, 17, she got mad, but she allowed me and my friends to smoke in the house. Mm-hmm. So we never got in trouble. We never had no issues. We smoked weed in my room, we smoked cannabis in my room. And, we were good. Whereas I know people that, you're right, they would be criminals. They would get pulled over at the parking lot just for rolling up a small little joint. In Georgia, you get your license taken away. You get scholarships taken away. You're going to jail if you can't pay probation, all kinds of stuff. So I was
Chad, what about you?
smoker.
It was definitely high school for me.
Mm-hmm.
I used it to calm my nerves before I ran track.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I would...
your ass was still slow.
Stop it. Nah, so because the shot of the gun gave me anxiety.
Oh, wow.
So friends and I, at that time, we would, before track meets, take a pull. Not even a pull. At that time, it was going through a whole blunt. We weren't doing joints. We were doing blunts. But yeah, that's what I used. That's how I got into it at the time. But times have changed.
Yeah.
Oh, have they? And I'm so happy.
What about you, Tommy?
Yeah, this question still makes me uncomfortable. That's the crazy part.
And that's okay, though.
So the first time was not even a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago.
It's beautiful, though.
It was, I don't even know the correct terminology, but like from his pen, I guess. And I didn't realize I was high until I got on the highway. This is my first time. I know I was driving 40 miles an hour on the highway.
That means you're chilling, right?
I'm like, I'm booking it home, but like, why is this shit moving so fast next to me left and right?
You're not.
Yeah.
Oh man. But
So really quick, I want to jump into Ice. You said something that was very interesting. You differentiated between weed and
cannabis.
Talk about that.
Oh, well, weed is propaganda. It is the name. Well, first of all, weeds is really nothing. So, cannabis is a whole lot of something. And it's really, its root name is cannabis sativa. So, when we work in the industry, we're trying to dispel the negative connotation you get with weed, marijuana even, and puff, ganja, dope, all that, and just call it its real name. And they have names, they have strains, they got flavors, they taste like something, you can smell it, all kinds of stuff.
It's a plant.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between what cannabis was 20, 30 years ago compared to what it
let's
is
talk
today?
about that. The state of the industry. Like, where are we right now in terms of cannabis in the industry?
Oh, you got that. I'm a 93 baby. You know, I'm a 25. I just want everybody
I ain't gonna lie, I'm still scared.
No, because the reason why I asked that question is because I talked to a lot of older folks, right?
Yep.
And they always when you bring up cannabis, they always say, "Oh, I'm not smoking that shit today."
Yeah.
Because they got all these different things. I just want some regular. The way they say it is, I just want some regular pot. That's how they say it.
Right.
So what has changed between the cannabis that was there in 1985 compared to where we are in 2018?
Well, I think that's a great question. Let's start. I always start from the ground all the way up. So it's a plant. So let's start from the ground. What has changed is that we now have more agricultural and horticultural science that is going into cultivation in the legal markets. So you can breed towards higher potency strains, which is actually the most popular. They're the most popular strains on the market. You know, love it or hate it, or right, wrong, and different. That's what's happened. I don't think that necessarily is the best way to assort the market, and I'll talk about how that's transitioning. But yeah, back in the day when it was really illegal, and then there wasn't even a medical program yet, people growing pot in their backyard. A lot of it is basically oregano, right, or maybe high CBD strains. It wasn't what we consider that gas, that real fire. Yes. And where we're coming with the fire is really because people are becoming experts around that cultivation piece. So starting from the ground. But then we've taken it even further by extracting and coming up with the vape pens or various concentrated forms of marijuana. That was something that is like completely unheard of. Yes, you hear of hash and maybe the keef that gets caught at the bottom, but the true concentration of like the resin or rosin coming out the plant just from high pressure is unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
let's rewind.
Yeah.
Because I feel like listeners need to be educated.
Oh,
because
sure.
I was at a pool party this past weekend, and I wasn't personally smoking at the pool party, but someone that I was talking to was like, "You smell that? Yo, who got it?" And someone's like, "I got it," and he ran to go smoke it. And when he came back, he was like, "Yo, that was good." And I'm like, "Word? What is it?" He couldn't tell me what it was.
That's a major issue with the
and
underground markets.
that is a problem, right? So
I don't do those.
Can you educate the listeners on the difference between what a sativa is, what an indica is, what a hash is, like all those terminologies? Because I don't want people to just smell it and run to it. I want people to smell it and ask, "Hey, what are you smoking?"
Yeah,
right.
just
So
like that you go to a bar and you ask for a vodka, tequila, a spirit. You know exactly what you want to put in your body.
Exactly.
We would want people to get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up as an example, because I say it all the time, because when we're in sometimes in the markets that are underdeveloped, read illegal, right, hasn't yet transitioned, it might be decriminalized. We may be in a cipher or coming up on a cipher and someone just passed you stuff, and I want to say, I'll cock my head back and be like, "What is that?" And they, some people may get offended by it, but the reality is, if you pass me that cup, and whether you my brother or not, and I love you, I'm gonna ask you before I take a sip. What is it? Yeah, right. So it's the same thing when you're about to take a puff. But I will say, let's start with the smell. The smell is actually not anything to do with the THC or the part that makes you high. It does help modulate it, but it's actually part of the plant that is called a terpene, and that's actually something that is naturally found in a whole bunch of other plants. You can find it in lemons, for example. That's why some of the flower that you can smell have strong lemon smell. So there's a lot of different ways that people just have not realized that there's a real science behind it versus the bro science. So when someone says, oh, it smells good, they don't even realize they're not talking about the high of it, really. They're talking about these other molecules that just modulate, help the high, but not it itself. The sativa indica thing, I'm going to tread lightly on it because as a scientist, because I got my degree in molecular biology, so as a scientist,
talk about it, by the way.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Let's go.
As a scientist, we haven't yet really fully fleshed out what the different genus groups are, but this is what has been called for years. So for all intents and purposes, it's phenotypic, which means it's what it looks like, not necessarily what it feels like or what it does. Now, in most medicine, what it feels like and what it does is what usually dictates the naming and the grouping of it. But in this case, they because you're not supposed to be using it, they grouped it based on the way it looks. So sativa are plants that they're a lot skinnier. They tend to be a bit longer, a bit lighter at times. They're associated with feelings of a high in the head, either very, focus oriented, creative. Focus is a big thing. ADHD is something. If I had this in college and high school, I would have been a beast. I was already a beast, but I'm a beast.
Talk
now,
about it.
Right? Real talk.
Talk
the
about
right
it.
strain.
Wait, you're still a beast.
Yes,
exactly.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, the right strain could get you.
By the way.
Shout out to Stuyvesant. One of the only African American hash makers in the country went to Stuyvesant with myself. Shout out to the Dank Duchess. The Dank Duchess. Her hash is the truth, and she, grows her own plants and then presses it, and it is not only beautiful as art, but it also it tastes lovely. It just is amazing. But shout out to Stuyvesant. The science people do know how to make this more sophisticated. Yeah. But I think where we come in, we like me and you, telling that story of how has it become a consumer product. Yeah. So back to the sativa, you have all these different things that are, supposed to make you more up and elevated. We like to say we're sativa divas, right? Because we're always,
smoke sativas.
Really only smoke sativas. On the flip side, indica is a fatter leaf. It is often kind of the purple or the gold or the orange color that you're seeing. And indica, people like to joke and say in the couch. It's the stereotypical weed that we see on the gray market. It's the thing that makes your eyes hang low. That anything with that OG kush.
Now, why is there a more? Because it seems like there's more indica out there, in the world, and people smoke that more often. Is that because it's what available? It's easier to grow. Is there a reason why we get that? Indica?
I mean, we do have our budding cultivator right here. So
shout out to David who's also in the room. More blunts and stuff on IG. We'll put a link to the bottom.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what's your name on IG?
More blunts and stuff. More blunts.
It's a movement.
You should see him roll.
Fire.
It is a work of art. Real talk. He's a rolling god.
Yeah.
But he's also our budding cultivator in the group. So he's saying, yes, indica is easier to grow, but also, the market, even though it's underground, it's still like a regular consumer market. So it's about demand too. So if you feel like the gas is the thing that's supposed to make your eyes hang low and you get in the red eye and you feel really, really chill, people going to look for that. And so that's what keeps getting grown because that's what's being asked for, even in the underground market. But now that we have, again, a different group, I call them we're the new faces of cannabis. The fastest growing legal users are women, black women, 35 to 55, primarily because of ailments that I'm even suffering from myself, autoimmune challenges, MS, lupus, Crohn's disease, the list goes on. And we want to be patients with dignity. And if I'm a high-powered attorney or a high-powered executive, I can't be in the couch with my eyes hanging low. Right. I can't do that. So sativa is actually rising in popularity. It's very much the fastest growing types of strains out there. And there's some that actually do opposite stuff. So it helps dispel the myth. Durban poison is an appetite suppressant.
Right.
People losing hundreds of pounds on Durban poison.
Getting skinny on that. That's in high demand. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
We couldn't find that at one point.
Right. So it's
summer
flat
body.
tummy tea is out of here.
Hello.
Tea with a little CBD.
Right. So some tincture.
Shout out to Happy Tea in Atlanta.
Wow.
Oh, that's a CBD tea?
I don't know. I'm learning. So
Okay.
as I'm here with you, I'm learning.
Listen, I'm looking for CBD teas. There's one that I really like, Black Mama Tea. And the Black Mama Vodka owner, Vanessa Braxton, shout out to her. She's just took her company public, but she has a CBD infused tea.
And don't worry, listeners, all the things that she's rattling off, because I can't even keep up. Yeah. We're gonna put a link, in the podcast to make sure that you can kind of support these businesses as well, because that's another thing we want to talk about is where is the money going? Now we understand, right? So let's talk about that. Like we know that there's
don't
people.
Be sorry, by the way. Don't be sorry.
No, you're right. People have had a head start over here, for years, and now they're already making millions off of this industry before that because they've had the inside track. For Black business owners, Black entrepreneurs, where is that opportunity, and where do you see, places that we can go, and start to kind of build businesses and build empires and pass it down to our families, and kids and granddaughters and grandsons?
Well, first, I think we got to get Black people at the table. So I'm very excited that I kind of did this trifecta. I'm coming off of I'm on the Weed Head tour. So that's my branded name. I'm the Weed Head. And I did that because I wanted to take something that is historically bad and flip it. Yeah. But I just got off of doing Black Enterprise Entrepreneur Summit, Essence Music Festival, and the NAACP convention. And I'm talking to a room full of Black people, and it really is the first time they're having critical conversations about it because they've been so fearful. We are highly disproportionately affected by this prohibition of the plant for the last 80 years. More than 50% of the drug related charges in the country are related to marijuana. Shout out to the Drug Policy Alliance. I work closely with them, especially in New York. What we're learning is this has been a tool to basically incarcerate Black and Hispanic men primarily, and we're still using it as a tool. So I say when you think about marijuana, we are going to talk about the business, but first it's a health and wellness issue. So I started there. I'm a patient for real. I need it, and it is what it is, and there's a lot of people who need it. It could solve a lot of issues in our communities. But then the second thing is it's a social justice issue. We've got people locked up in jail right now for very small amounts of cannabis. Meanwhile, we can go to Colorado, go to 26 other states, really, and carry around that amount, and you're fine. You can make money from it.
That's confusing to me.
Yes.
26 other states?
Yes.
I mean, I only know a couple, so.
So there's a difference between legalization on a medical program and legalization on an adult use program. Okay. But the medical programs don't necessarily mean it's not legal, right? New Jersey is actually not that difficult to get a medical marijuana card. And even though the dispensaries need some work, they only allow up to 10% THC. I think you just told me that. I'm like, shit, take 10% THC ain't worth even opening the bottle for me and the pain that it will cause. It's like you clearly know that people are in charge making decisions that don't understand the plant. But there are 26 states right now that have a medical program of some sort, and they're robust programs. Like Connecticut has some fire products out there.
Yeah, they do.
And they're only a medical marijuana program.
45 minutes on the train, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know?
I'm just saying, my point is that, when you see that, it's incongruent with coming back home to Brooklyn. It's supposed to be decriminalized. Police officers are still using the smell to target young Black and Hispanic males just to pat them down, get them, riled up, and then have a reason to take them in. And I was on a panel with a warden. He's the president of the New Jersey State NAACP. And he basically said they use those as the initial charges to build the case. And so they're basically using marijuana as the gateway to jail for our young brothers and sisters. And I mean, I just think that is appalling to me. And so it winds up being, hey, we got to just understand that just to break that cycle, we have to come to the table.
Right. I have a question about that. So in our community, the Black community in general, there's a lot of mental health issues. So further than your health issues that are more about your physical, can you talk about how medicating will be helpful for those that have mental health issues?
Go ahead.
Well, it's a mood stabilizer for me. I have high anxiety. I'm really hyper, and it just relaxes me and calms me down. Even a sativa, which is a head high, can just make my brain relax smoothly. And people are getting off their psychotropic drugs.
The opioids and other drugs as well, right? Yeah.
They're Adderalls, which is addicting. All these pills are addicting. They're getting off of them through cannabis in these medical marijuana states.
Yes. I would also say that we talk a lot about PTSD, primarily in focus to the military, but shout out to
PTSD from the hood. It's PTSD from Brooklyn.
That's what I was going to say. from every hood.
From
Not
Queens, from
exactly.
Newark, like, yeah.
Urban trauma is real.
Shout out to Rochester.
Yes.
Right.
PTSD is real.
PTSD is real. I have it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, also people don't realize you could be in a car accident. You could have something of that nature. Somebody could die. My son saw my mother one day, and 3 days later she was gone. He has significant PTSD as a result of that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it does help with that in terms of just that level of anxiety. Even a CBD regimen will help with that.
You say even. Can you further explain that?
So there are there are a lot of molecules in the plant. I don't want to simplify it, but a lot of people focus on the THC because that's what makes you get high.
Okay.
Not realizing, of course, that we have our own natural THC-like molecule. So we have our own natural high. But CBD is the other cannabinoid molecule that does a lot of the heavy lifting as far as what cannabis does as medicine. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's anti-anxiety. It really does help with homeostasis, and it doesn't make you high because it doesn't impact.
You can't say
the brain.
homeostasis, and I get it because I'm like a nerd, but like you can't say.
Oh,
that, like,
balance. Sorry,
Yeah.
the balance, and there's a lot of shit out of balance. When you sugar, when people say, "Oh, I got sugar," your sugar is out of balance. You got high blood pressure, your blood pressure is out of balance. So all of those things start to fall in line with a good cannabis regimen. It's not a miracle because this is basic ass science. I will say that, but when you focus on what I call the bro science, is like you're not getting the real science. And so once you hear the real science, and if you are a little bit of a nerd, it actually makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does, and so for me being like I told you, my first time was maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit more. As I started to be like my nerd self and do my reading and understand what's what. Obviously, that's a level that you have. Like I started to understand that this is not like what I've learned for it to be all my life. This is something that's literally a natural plant that has been assisting me, right? Not that I know how it's assisted me, like specifically, but I feel a lot better. It's better than me drinking Ciroc all night, right? So
your liver will be a lot happier.
Right. It's pretty simple.
Can't
so
die from
I'm glad that
cannabis.
he's communicating his message.
And you wouldn't have been going 40 on the Ciroc. Trust. You would have been thinking you going slow, going 100, actually.
Right.
That's the reverse.
Yeah. So I want to go to the marketing side of things, right? You, in the beginning, you talked about, like walking into a store, dispensary. There you go. I couldn't think of the word, and not being what you thought it would be. It being like this shallow place, right? Talk about the marketing aspect. What needs to change when we shop for it? Like, talk about the experience that we need to have when we walk into a dispensary.
Oh, this is my favorite topic because I have been talking about rebranding cannabis for a while.
Where have the dispensaries been also like that you've visited, so we can kind of understand?
So MJM Strategy operates in a global sense. We're a 100% remote company. So actually we live all over. We operate in all of the legal markets. So I have been in a dispensary everywhere that it is legal right now.
Okay.
And except for now, I guess New Mexico had just a recent change, and Vermont. So there's
in Arizona. You didn't pull up.
No, I didn't. And I think it wound up legalizing after I was on my way back east.
Okay.
But there is cultural differences across the different states in terms of the experience. Definitely Colorado, Seattle, or Washington, they are way more sophisticated.
Seattle looks really weird to me as far as the dispensaries are. I feel like it's like every other block is like a dispensary.
Well, in some places, like Mission Street, in certain places in Oakland, it's the same thing, and in Colorado as
San
well.
Francisco is it looks like Seattle.
It's just like a dispensary row.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think that it is good because you kind of like it makes a tourist visit, a location.
But it looks like a bodega almost.
In those places, it does look like a bodega, but there's some in Washington where it looks like a diamond shop, right? Like coming in, it's got the light under the glass. And so it varies in terms of sophistication. When I was in Arizona, what I was finding, it wasn't a lot of hole in the walls, but it was also just the bud tender. That's the person who's supposed to help you. First of all, it's called a bud tender. Why? Like, it's not alcohol, so it's kind of a little bit weird, but the person who's supposed to help you, if I'm coming in and I have a real ailment, mind you, Arizona's a medical marijuana state. It's not coming in, I'm 21.
Shouldn't be a bud tender.
then I don't want to talk to someone who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where I was seeing the incongruence. I don't want to talk to someone who also doesn't know their assortment. So even in regular, I'll say maybe not Walmart. Shout out to Target. You go to Target, you ask somebody where something is, they should be able to tell you where it is or when they might come in stock. It was missing some of the basic things we expect in a mainstream experience because nobody's demanding it. Yeah. Because everybody's like, well, I kind of don't feel good anyway that I'm a patient, so I'll keep with whatever they're giving me. It's been underground all these years, so the people who have been in charge are former drug dealers, grassroots, and everything is very
hippie.
Yeah, it's just a lack of sophistication. I was I can't bring my sorors here.
Where's the formal, and of course, it's all relative, but where's the formal education in terms of these bud tenders or whoever is actually, giving you the advice? Where do they learn? Is that through trial and error? Is that through someone
Skillshare? It's online
on the job. So that's what makes this industry bomb, is because that there's so many white spaces. So you ask where Black people could get involved. That's exactly where Black owned companies just got involved. They formed a app. It's called Bud Tender. Shout out to Ebony Costain. And they were able to get accepted into a Colorado incubator, which was a cannabis incubator specifically. And the Bud Tender is an app for teaching, right? But there are so many holes. Most bud tenders are doing trial and error. They'll tell you what works for them. But what they don't realize is your brain is different from my brain. Your endocannabinoid system is different from mine. So as minute I tell you what works for me, I'm kind of giving you a little bit of bro science. What really needs to happen is you need to sit with an herbalist doctor yourself and kind of figure out what works for you. Because it will be
an herbalist doctor.
I would say an herbalist or a doctor or just yourself, like really trial and error.
Like you, right? Because you're like an herbalist doctor, sort of.
You are.
I'm not.
But right,
so you kind of are because you're educated.
Right. I am an educator. I'm a cannabis educator.
And there's no formal, there's no degree that says, hey, I am specialized in herbs.
But you can be a naturopath, and they tend to utilize herbs, and there are some more alternative herbalistic programs. But I would say most physicians are not learning about the endocannabinoids. So not most, they're not. It's not in the medical school curriculum. I know because I'm a dropout. Mm-hmm. What you learn is if somebody has their endocannabinoid system inactive, it means they use weed and you need to call social services because they did something illegal. It's not about...
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off too far. But you're the highest credential dropout I've ever heard in my life.
Ever. It's fake.
What are you talking about? You're more like a drop in. We gotta swap it out.
She just went to get the education.
It's I didn't need a degree. That's funny. But,
all right, so I want to take it to another level. So how do you feel about people who roll blunts versus people who roll papers versus people who use vape pens?
I think to each his own. I don't want to be a cannabis Nazi, if you will, but I do know that
you went to Nazi? I thought you were going to say I'm not judging on trial.
Sometimes I feel like there are people, once they decide cannabis is sophisticated or is better or we want to change the plan, it's like, no blunts, no this, no this. And they're very judgy. Though. Yes, even Black people, it's not that. It's just, so I don't want anybody to feel that. I don't smoke blunts because I used to smoke cigarettes for 10 years, and the day my mom died, that's my last cigarette, actually. Mm-hmm. So blunts, all the papers that have any type of tobacco in it, I'm good. But I also know that it's not good for the people who are doing it. So if I'm going to tell you a health and wellness benefit, I'm not going to tell you to take and do it in a blunt. Now, if that's the only way I'll say get it in however you get it in. Mm-hmm. But I'm also going to encourage you to check out packs and check out the vape pens, check out edibles. Yeah, shout out to packs.
Or check out glass.
Yes.
You don't get no tobacco from
glass. You can burn the flower right itself. Or check out Ardent. That's another one that's Black owned by Chanel Lindsay.
Can we bust a myth real quick? So there's always these memes and talk about edibles and how 2 hours later you keep eating the cookies and then all of a sudden you're on the floor because they hit you like a ton of bricks. How do edibles affect you more in terms of consuming cannabis versus a flower or a vape pen or oil or something like that?
Well, I love edibles. Edibles are my favorite things to take because, you could just do that in the middle of the club and you partying all night. But I would say
that's the reason, the club?
Well, yeah, I love to dance.
She said she's the adult user.
I'm totally not scared of you no more.
She's the adult user.
I like to go out and dance. So that's how I only go out and drink wine and champagne because I'm pretty much stoned the whole time. But I would say that edibles in the underground market is hard because it's no dosage. They're not testing it. They're not seeing, how much they're using. Sometimes they might not even decarb the cannabis. So you're just eating like.
Wait, we're simple. What do you mean decarb?
Well, decarb is basically you have to activate the THC in order to get high. And basically when you decarb it, it's like when the lighter hits it. It's,
any type of heat.
Yes, heat.
That was my next question, actually. I'll go back to that when you finish, though.
So, people are just putting cannabis straight up in the batter and thinking that's going to get you high. It doesn't even work like that. So you don't know how underground chefs are making their edibles. But when you go to a market that tests their edibles, you got to take it easy. You got to figure out the bud tender should tell you how much cannabis you're consuming with that product.
Yes. And I think it goes back to the dosing. People are taking things their first time that 50, 100 milligrams. And I'm telling you, I'm an everyday user and I microdose. So we're talking about 3 to 5 milligrams at a time. And so I think when you take an edible, you want to make sure your first time experience is probably in that range before blasting yourself. The other thing is you don't feel it right away, right? So when I take a hit from my pen or my pipe or whatever, I'm going to feel it within a matter of seconds or minutes, depending on how good a hit it was. But with edible, there is that lag time. There's some innovation now where they're shortening it. Shout out to 1906. They have like a 10-minute time on their edibles. I would say everything that y'all are calling out. Yes. Everything you're calling out, what we're seeing now, this is the greatest thing about this freaking industry, is there's just so much opportunity because people haven't really mastered anything yet. We're still getting off and running. And so where you see that there's a hole in your current market, trust that maybe there might be some little brands that are doing it in the the more regulated markets, but they're not McDonald's yet. Like you got enough time to really come in the game too.
Oh, so everybody could eat then, huh?
Yes, they could. I wish that we actually would just come to the table and actually take a plate, but everybody can afford. I mean, sometimes you might not even need that at this point. But there's plenty of opportunity. And yes, the edible piece is a great way to use discreetly. And as medicine, it's actually much easier to take a pill or take a little chocolate or snack that has it already in it than smoking.
So let's talk about this future. I want to see where it's going, right? I mean, I understand that we're in the state right now. There's other things going on that's clouding it. Justice reform, a lot of things are happening. But in the next maybe I'd say 5 to 10 years, as an expert now, where do you see this industry moving towards? You can touch on whatever you want to touch on, products, anything.
Well, first of all, 5 to 10 years, the industry is going to be archaic by then, because we're moving in like 6 month, 12, 18-month intervals. Dog years for real, because I've been in the industry 2 years and it feels like 20.
Hello.
But so here's what I will say. Cannabis has the ability to expand every single industry that you can think of. So for example, I cut my hair off, my mom passed. This is all new hair. I've always had natural, but I only really use cannabis products in my hair. It's expanding even that natural hair space. Yes.
You're talking too crazy. What do you mean? Like, so you put cannabis in your hair?
Are y'all
cannabis culture is cannabis.
We should be, but I feel like I forgot about it. Shout out to the Curly Girls Book Collective. I love them, but we should be a co-president. I need to do something there next year.
Don't forget about me. What are you putting in your hair?
So, right. Cannabis has the ability to be made into or extracted into oils, and you can mix oil into shea butter. You can mix oil into almond oil.
What does that enhance?
It enhances the brilliance of the hair. It enhances your scalp itself. It brings balance to hair. Everything that I said about homeostasis, it does that for every cell that it interacts. Yes. And so even for your skin. So one of the things I'm working on is a Black-owned cannabis beauty brand, because truth of the matter is we're spending billions of dollars. Ambi is still the discoloration fader is the #1 product for Ambi still globally. And it's because of the fading of dark spots.
Shout out to Charlemagne.
Spicy.
But cannabis actually body does that naturally. It goes into an epithelial cell, and it basically says, "Oh, you making too much melanin?
That's
Okay,
a skin cell,
stop
right?
that."
I'm talking about science shit, more biology shit. That's a skin cell.
A skin cell.
Yeah,
Well, it's a
y'all ain't know.
plant.
Thomas, get off your nerd shit.
Hey, real science,
okay.
not real science. No, I mean, I get real nerdy about it because it's just so much we can go to.
I mean, talk about hemp.
Yeah, so that's the last piece, is that's the long money. Cannabis is actually both hemp and marijuana. And because of the way the law has been written for all these years, it's something that people have separated incorrectly. Scientifically, they come from the same family, so they actually can make a lot of the same products. Hemp-based CBD products are just as effective as marijuana-based CBD products. Yes. Now, the difference is that it has no THC or very low THC. And THC certainly is a very, very good kicker for pain relief, especially high pain relief. But for everyday usage, everyday anti-anxiety, you can get a lot of benefit from a hemp-based CBD. And hemp doesn't require the same amount of expenses to get into. And now it's federally legal because they just passed that bill. There are some states that hemp grows out of the freaking concrete. Oklahoma is one of them. North Carolina is another.
Where the seeds at?
Black farmers are out there. We need to actually be looking
my
there.
protein shake.
Yes.
That's real.
So hemp is the long money. I see that actually being more of what we talk about when we talk about the cannabis industry 5 to 10 years from now, because eventually we'll get over all this law stuff, separating them, which is all like artificially separating these two plants. I like to joke and say it's like light skin, dark skin. It's just black people, right? It's still black people at the end of the day. So it's still cannabis. And eventually it will find some sort of merger. Right now, I'm the only one of the few people talking about hemp as a cannabis plant.
Question for you, right?
Yes.
So all this sounds like way too much fun for me. What do you say to that person like me that just sounds like, you know what? Personally, it's affected me in a positive way, but like it just sounds like it's popping.
Yes.
Like, what do you say to that person?
I say, you tell your story. Facts tell, stories sell. And right now we don't have enough positive stories of people will assume looking at you and probably even hearing from you, because this is just the way we have stereotypes, that you've been smoking all your life, right? And so to have your experience.
Wait, hold on.
You did pull out the Ciroc like out of nowhere when we sat down. I was
so it's like, oh, party,
okay,
right?
word.
No, but I'm
Right,
just saying
okay.
there's assumptions that get made. I don't think that that's a bad assumption or a good assumption. I just think sometimes it's an assumption.
Right.
But when you told me your story, like you just did it a year ago, that immediately, I was intrigued by that as a marketer, wanting to hear more about how it changed your life, because a lot of people just assume we all just smoke it and we just want to get high.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what I get as the feedback. I wish somebody would say it to me in my face about me, but they feel like they're talking about other people, not you, Dasheeda, but all these other people. No, we're all trying to resolve various ailments.
Chad talks about that pretty often too, and it's like you should expand on that, Chad, because you have a really good point of view on how you feel about those that are like just like engaging and those things like that.
No.
I mean, you do.
I mean, when you say engaging, be more specific.
Okay, so like I feel like you have an understanding of like how we can use it recreationally, but not like be very overt with it, and like be very, very like more of like for medicinal purpose, as opposed to just saying, hey, like this is a party.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, I just need everyone to be smart about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a younger brother-in-law, and he's been locked up for it. He's only 22. And he's on social media with it, and he's posting about it, and that's fine if you want to do that, but you need to be conscious about it. Yeah. And my point to him is, look, you can enjoy it, but you don't got to tell everybody you do it.
Yeah.
You just got to be smart about it.
Well, it depends on the market that he's in.
He's in Florida.
Oh, well, see, Florida is about to be one of the largest medical marijuana programs. I would tell him, go get your card, because he will qualify. It actually has a long list of qualifications. You don't got to be dying anymore in some of these states, Pennsylvania as well. Shout out to PA, Michigan. These are really strong, good medical marijuana programs, and it will protect you. Because here's the thing. If you get pulled over and you got a little weight on you because it's your medicine, or maybe it ain't, but it's your medicine, right?
So the words you're using are weird, right? So you said like weight, right? That sounds like a negative connotation to it.
weight meaning the how much flour you may have on you or how much product you may have on you. Every state has a certain allowance of product, and actually it's quite a bit for what a one person can consume, unless you David. But
Atlanta out here locking you up for it.
Yes,
like,
well, Atlanta just decriminalized Fulton County.
Only the city.
Atlanta decriminalized?
Fulton County.
Only the
Atlanta?
city.
Oh, right.
Fulton County.
Being in the red state.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But we also do have a new a candidate for governor right now that is really she won the Democratic seat, and so
Keisha?
she's running on a medical marijuana platform too, so she understands the importance of that. I think what I'm seeing is that people see the money opportunity in the municipality, and so they're flipping because of that. New York just released, Governor Cuomo just released a report saying, hey, New York should do adult use, so that they just don't want New Jersey to do it before them. And so a lot of this is now competition.
I'm okay with that competition, though.
I am too, but I will say I wanted to slow down just a bit, because you know why? Because I need to get more you folks in and crossed over. I'm a corporate to cannabis crossover, so I keep encouraging people. You can take what you do in your everyday, like I did, and actually we need it in the cannabis industry. Yeah. Wow. We need it. First of all, shout out to Brian for our logo.
Yes.
Brian out here being a creative.
Yes.
Yeah. But Dasheeda, thank you. I want to say thank you, Ice. Thank you for coming through and educating us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
We do one thing every episode, and we put forth a challenge. So, I'm going to leave it to the ladies today. I want to hear your challenge to our listeners.
I would say if you are a user, please, I'm the opposite of Chad. I feel like you got to come out the cannabis closet. And that means be clear about your use on social media. I'm sorry. I need more people to say that they are, because the more that we normalize it, the less work it is for me to do, Yeah. But also crossover. You have skills. You can make this your side hustle. Shout out to Cassius Mag. I did 7 ways that you can get into the industry.
I love Cassius, by the way. Cassius
is big.
Yeah. Quiet for Vice.
Shout out to Jamila.
Yo, yes, really quick, Dasheeda, I want you to give a shout out to everyone that's doing it big right now in the cannabis industry. Do it Thursday.
Oh, shoot. Well, first of all, shout out to my team, MJM Strategy. What up? More blunt stuff, Cannabis Socialite.
Glad y'all not marketing no more.
Oh, yes. I love, shout out to Kibra, both Smith, Canna Health. Go Canna Health. Takia is my senior marketing manager. She has a podcast, 101. Let's go. Gia, shout out to Gia Moran, the executive VP for Women Grow, the largest networking organization. Shout out to Shanita Petty, my Sora. Shout out to the Dank Duchess, my Sora. Shanita Petty runs MCBA. Shout out to Roz McCarthy, the president and CEO of Minorities for Medical Marijuana.
Ashley Asante, she's going to be doing Yogasm here in Brooklyn this month. It is hot, and it...
Yes, it is hot. Yes. Wow. So we got so many. I can't even. I'll leave some comments for you guys.
We'll leave comments.
We'll put all your turn. Your turn, Ice. Go ahead.
Well, she knows all the people that I know, but I guess I could do my millennial Canna cultural. Jake. We have Kiki products. We got Blushy Babes. We got who else do I know? Kim B,
shout out to
Leo, Ronnie, NJCC,
shout out to the New Jersey Cannabis Commission.
Tiana, hello.
Shout out to
college. I was confused for a second.
Yo, you stupid. All right, Ice, we need a challenge from you. What is your challenge for the listeners?
Well, my challenge is to go out and lobby. It is 26 states that are only legal. We could get the rest of the states on board, but you have to go and you have to make sure the city people hear you, the council people. You don't have to vote. You could be like a Vermont and write it into the laws, but you have to make sure your lawmakers know you want medical marijuana, you want adult use marijuana. So go out, be seat fillers, go to the meetings, attend, join organizations.
Yes.
All right, B, go ahead.
Yo, Ice is not scared of you no more. High five.
Roof.
I'm with you.
I don't have. It's simple, man. Enjoy life and be happy. That's really it. Like, look, these things are making me happy. Educating my people and understanding that there's peels and layers of things that we've been lied to for our whole entire lives that are being uncovered, and we appreciate that. So, just live life and be happy. That's
Shout out to science, man. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thomas, truth.
What's your challenge?
I don't have a challenge. I'm appreciative of these women and all they got to say.
Shout out to
and
Black women.
I'm just happy that these women
Black Girl
are
Magic.
out here and letting us know we need
Can
to
I
know.
be real? That's who is actually really doing it in the industry.
Yeah.
dope.
We
That's
are
who's
the
doing
Cannabis
it
Hidden
everywhere.
Figures.
Yeah.
Shout out to
That's
Tracy,
dope.
Mary Pryor. Shout out to Becky with the Fi. Like I just
Becky
I'm
with
sorry.
the huh?
Becky with the Fi. She's
Not
a
with the
botanist.
good hair,
She's a
with the
botanist with the
fire.
fire. She's a botanist
Yeah.
cultivator out of Detroit. I mean, we're some of the black women that I get a chance to work with are just phenomenal, and they happen to be beautiful too.
General
Yeah.
shout out to Black women.
Yes.
We love y'all for
Yes,
real.
love it.
Yes.
My Instagram name is Brian W. Frazier.
Black women. You
yeah.
heard. And he got a beautiful beard. You heard.
I mean, and he's just chocolate, ladies. Y'all don't even
Wait, but is he
understand.
single?
I can
It don't
call my
matter
brother
if he's all
beautiful.
chocolate
Yeah.
and beautiful if he ain't
Beard
single.
beautiful.
I'm just saying.
Call my friend beautiful. It's my friend. I can do that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm
But
just
yeah,
saying.
But y'all, I think that's it, man. We
Yes.
made our time, and we appreciate y'all for coming out. Everybody, listeners, please like, comment, give us feedback, and we'll also drop all of this knowledge in the comments.
The Dasheeda and Ice, they gonna definitely promote this shit.
Yes.
At the Cannabis Socialite.
Yes, at the Cannabis CEO, and you can follow me on theweedhead.com.
And more blunts and stuff. Shout out to Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for recording this shit. Thank you. So, Thomas, any last words before we get the fuck out of here?
I'm not gonna say holla. You gotta do that.
Brian?
Nah, that's it. That's all you.
Holla!